Hello, this is Carmen with First United Land Transfer. And this morning, we have a very special guest with us. We have Nihal from EXP joining us. How are you?
I'm great. Pleasure to be here, Carmen. Thank you.
Great to have you. And today, he's going to be sharing a lot about his story culturally and the impact that he's had with his peers. And we'll just start by asking a few questions. Like, first, introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Nihal Raval. I just started with EXP Realty a few weeks ago and have had the pleasure to meet with the team here, including Carmen, and I'm glad to be here this morning. Thank you for the opportunity.
So happy that you could be here. So, I don't know if you've noticed, but we have a very diverse group here.
Yep.
Just like yourself, a lot of us come from different countries. Tell us where you were born and where you were raised.
Sure. I was born in India, and I was raised there till I was about 14 years old. And then my parents, as just like many of us who are first generation here in the United States, my parents wanted to give us a brighter future, a better future. And so they took the decision to move to Canada, immigrate to Canada, despite doing really well for themselves in India. They took the hard decision to come here to provide for me and my younger brother a better opportunity. And so we moved. We sold everything. We moved with 8 suitcases across the ocean, and we came to Canada and started from scratch. And they started from scratch, and me and my younger brother, we started from scratch. And that's given us the ample opportunities and successes that both my brother and I have been able to experience because they were brave enough to do that for us.
And what did your parents instill in you guys? What were the expectations as immigrants and, coming from parents who obviously were successful?
Yeah.
What were the expectations your parents had with you and your siblings?
Well, I think, the biggest thing they did for us is took the risk and had the courage to do what they did, which is leave everything, leave the family, what they knew, their language, their people, their country behind where they grew up in their mid-40s and come here and start from scratch. So at any given time in my life when I face challenges, when I face issues, same goes for my younger brother, same goes for my wife. She has a very similar background to my brother and I. We know how to deal with it because we just look at ourselves and like, well, if our parents could do what they did, we can handle any other challenges in the United States of America. So they've instilled in us a sense of courage, a sense of risk, measured risk to take in life. And they've instilled the work ethic because despite being an engineer, my dad started working a labor job when he first came here. I started working a labor job when I was 14 after school. And I've been working since I was 14. So the values of hard work, integrity, they all come natural to us just because that's what we had to do. And that's how we grew up. And that's what I want to instill in my kids as well.
That's great. Tell me, when did you get the idea or when did that, desire to become a realtor come into play and why?
Yeah. Well, it's a long journey in the making. My parents had built a beautiful house for themselves back in India, and which they sold recently. But then once we moved to Canada, it took them a few years to save up enough money to buy another house in Canada. So they purchased their first home, and I was young enough to not understand everything, but old enough to understand some of it. And what I understood from that experience was that despite my parents being well educated and in taking this really big decision to buy a home, they could have done better in terms of being well informed, understanding what it takes to build a new house. And once you build a new house or you move into a house, what else should you be looking for? What are the other pitfalls of owning a home? And so when I saw some of that, I realized, okay, well, when I build my own home or buy my own first house, these are some of the things I'm going to watch out for. And so over the years, my wife and I, we've been fortunate enough to buy our own houses because we moved around a little bit due to job opportunities. And so we built a home. We bought existing homes, and now we actually own a few homes outside of our primary home. And every time we bought a house, it was an opportunity for me to learn and understand the overall real estate transaction, how complicated it can be. There are so many unknown factors that despite having an agent that is well versed in the industry, there's still things that you may miss or don't know just because there's so much to it. And so over the years, as I've bought and sold my own homes and built my own properties, I realized that I would love to be able to represent myself to those transactions if I'm going to buy new homes and invest in properties. But secondly, within the community that I'm part of, the Indian community, I want to help them. I speak the language. I grew up in India, so I can relate to them. I relate to what they would look for, what they want, and how I can close that gap of knowledge and education for people within our community.
So your community was underserved when it came to their real estate needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe it still is. And there's many great agents in our community right now, and I plan to learn from them. But I do think that I can offer a level of service and education and knowledge that comes from a self experience.
It's when it comes to, meeting the real estate needs, there are so many agents now that are so, they're honing a specific group of people.
Yep.
Like we have a lot of Hispanic realtors who speak English fluently, but their clients don't necessarily speak the language.
Yep.
So you are serving as an advocate.
Yep.
For you, it would be for your community and, being the liaison so that, number one, they're not taken advantage of, right? So that they understand everything. So I think that's a wonderful thing. We are really growing. We are becoming a lot more diverse.
Yep.
What about, you said your wife has a similar background to you?
Yeah.
Did you guys meet here or in India?
We met here.
Okay. And you've been married for quite some time. I know you have some little girls, right?
Yeah, so we are actually celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
My wife and I. Thank you. And we have 3 beautiful children. I have a son and 2 daughters. And they're just the perfect kids that anybody can ask for. They're not because they're my kids.
You're not biased at all.
I'm not biased at all.
I've seen them. They're beautiful.
So a lot of what I do now in terms of my work and in real estate, I think about it from a perspective of building a home, providing for your family. And within our Indian community, I speak Hindi and Gujarati, which Gujarati is my mother tongue. I speak Hindi. We teach our kids the languages at home as well. And there's a huge population of Punjabi folks here as well. They're all from India, and I understand Punjabi really well. So my goal is to, of course, everyone speaks English well this day and age, but sometimes it does help to have that added value to understanding your language and being able to converse in them with your people from your community in those languages. So I hope I can be of value for people that feel more comfortable using their, Hindi or Gujarati or Punjabi.
And raising bilingual children is so important when,
Absolutely.
you speak your primary language, your main language is not English. I can only relate that to myself, right? Because my children, it's been interesting trying to get them to speak Spanish fluently.
Yeah.
So if you're teaching them to be multilingual, that is going to be a great asset to them in their future.
Yeah. My wife and I, we firmly believe that diversity is the success of this country.
It makes our country go around.
It's why USA is the greatest country in the world because of its diversity, not despite it. And secondly, we believe that kids are very formidable. Kids are very flexible, and if you teach them, they will learn. And you put the effort, they will learn. And so we want to do better for our kids than our parents did for us, and hopefully we can succeed in it. And if we do, then they'll grow up to great kids and great future in this country as well.
I'm sure they will. They have a great example.
Thank you.
So, last, what is the message that you want to send out to not just to your community, to, anyone who can benefit from some knowledge, from you as as a real estate agent, as an investor. You've become quite successful. So what is the message that you want to share with anyone who's thinking of becoming a realtor or trying to figure out their path? What would you tell them?
Yep. So I'll start with the last part first because I just became a realtor.
Right.
So if somebody is thinking about becoming a realtor, welcome. I think it's a great profession. I think it's a respectable profession. You're in the business of helping people through making their, dreams come true by helping them with buying or selling a home. So if anybody's thinking about it, great. It's a great way to get into it and try to earn income on the side or as a full-time gig. Secondly, what do I hope to achieve is as I mentioned, primarily I wanted to represent myself in the best way possible to real estate transactions that I'll be part of. But as I've realized and as I've forayed into the real estate world, is a lot of my friends and family are underserved, or they are served, but they have a lot of questions that are not answered. So I hope that I can help not just people in my community, but anybody that's out there looking to buy or sell. What does it take to buy or sell a house? It's probably the biggest decision you're going to make in your entire life. Buying a house is just the beginning. Making it into a home, building memories there, and what comes with it in terms of the transactions, the different aspects of the real estate transactions. I want to be there for them, and I want to be patient. And the biggest thing I want to provide for any client is my availability and patience, because the market is so crazy right now, and things are so hectic. I find it time and time again that people are not served right because everyone's so busy. Well, I want to be the agent that is not necessarily busy from that perspective. I'd love to be busy, more business, but I always want to make sure I provide the best services to my clients. So I'll be very mindful of that, to not take on too much where I'm not present for my clients and not giving them the patience and the knowledge and education they require. So that's what I would like to do.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you here at First United, and I'm so glad that we had this time to chat this morning. I wish you continued success and just continued growth.
Thank you, Carmen. Appreciate it.